Hello everyone, welcome to the Frame of Faith Mass channel. We are bringing you the 31st interview of a Mass Queen from Africa and the first from Zimbabwe, Southern Africa. Tatenda, welcome to our channel, and we'd like you to start with an introduction of yourself and your journey from when you were young till now.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. So yeah, I'm from Zimbabwe. My name is Tatenda, and starting from when I was little, I'll just start with more of like my math journey. Yeah. So I mean, when I was in primary school, it was just you just go to school and you take all these courses. You don't have to. I don't remember ever thinking that I like one subject more than the other. It was just I'm going to school and I'm going to do well. That was the idea. But I do remember, I think when I was in grade 5, one of my teachers was talking about how a lot of people think math is difficult. And she was telling us, I don't remember the actual quote she said, like I can't really quote her, but she said something along like just always remember to tell yourself that this is easy and I can do it, something along those lines when I was in grade 5. And she told us like just if you start liking it, it will eventually like you'll get good at it. So I guess that's my first memory of ever thinking about maths like as an independent subject where you have to think about, do I like this or not? Yeah, and then well, I did get good grades. So in my primary and high school, I just tried to do well. It wasn't like I liked math more than other subjects or anything. But when I so in my country, you for high school, you write your O levels and you can go for A level. And then after A level, then you go to university, right? So when it came to A level, that's when I started facing difficulties with like my schoolwork, especially with math. And for the first time, I went home with a 40 something percent mark, which was a very low score, considering that I used to go home with better marks. So ever since then, I struggled a bit with math, especially like with the calculus part of math. And then I remember thinking that I didn't want to do anything that had maths in it when I went to varsity. But surprisingly, for my A-level results, I got an A in maths, and the other subjects that I was good at, I got B's. Yeah, but then, but then when I applied for a position like for my undergrad, I remember applying for engineering, but for some reason I ended up in computer science. That's what happened. And when I got into computer science, I was so excited because I was like, definitely there's no math. Because I didn't know anyone who had done computer science. I didn't know what the courses consisted of. I was just like, computer science, maybe there's no math there. And then I get the first semester, we had a course in calculus. And yeah. And I remember when, like, for the whole semester, I was struggling with calculus. And it was the same with linear algebra as well, because we had calculus and linear algebra. So when I took the linear algebra course, it was the first part of it was good because it was one part was vectors, the other part was matrices. So I was good at vectors. Like the first exam that we wrote, like an in-class exam, I actually got a good score. But the second one, I remember blanking out. Like I didn't remember the rules, the formulas. I didn't know what I was doing, and I got a 2 out of 50. That was a really terrible score. And then for calculus, my score was below 50% for my coursework. But I worked hard when it came to preparing for exams. I looked for people who had gotten the best marks for our coursework. I asked them, can you practice with me until we go to the exam? And I remember one of the people I practiced with, he was really worried about me. Like you can tell when you're going into an exam and someone says best wishes, but then that face that's like, I don't know if you're going to get through this. Yeah, that's what happened. But yeah, I passed, managed to pass the math courses. And then second year we did operations, researching statistics, something along those lines. But it was mostly statistics, and I actually loved that. And yeah, I got a distinction in that course. So I didn't really like maths, but we had to get through it. We had to get through it. And well, at the end, I finished my undergrad. And, like the other thing was when I did my undergrad, right? I ended up doing my undergrad in Zimbabwe because I had been applying for scholarships and I didn't get scholarships. So I applied for the first year when I was doing my final year in high school. I applied when I was doing my first year in undergrad. I didn't get scholarships for those 2 years. So at some point I gave up because it's when it's one of those things that you've been praying for so many years, and it's like you can't see yourself doing anything else. So I got really disappointed. I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to leave my country. That's what I told myself. So even up until I was finishing my undergrad, I didn't believe I could get a scholarship to go anyway, to be honest, because I felt like I tried my best and I really wanted it. And I felt like, I always feel like you're supposed to want things that God allows you to get, something along those lines. But so like, because I didn't get the scholarships, I didn't think I was going to get any other scholarship. So when I applied for scholarships for masters, it was because my mom and my uncle kept encouraging me to apply. But I didn't really believe that I could get the scholarships, right? So the first outcome of the scholarships came, it was the second semester of my final year in undergrad. It was towards the end of my undergrad. So when the result came, I think it was around March in 2019. I didn't get that. I got a place, but I didn't get the funding. So, and it was in Sweden. So it was definitely going to be too expensive to be funded by my mom to go there. So like, I kind of expected it in some way. It was just, I didn't have high hopes for the AIMS outcome. But fortunately, when the outcome from AIMS came, I got a scholarship. So I was really excited to go there. But one of the, thank you. One of the challenges for me was, when I was applying to AIMS, I didn't pay that much attention. I didn't know that you would be doing mostly math courses, because on the application you select the field of interest for you. So I had selected computer science. So I thought maybe I'd be doing courses that are mostly computer science. But when we got our acceptance letters, it said you'll be getting a master's in mathematical sciences. And I was really I was scared because I didn't know if I was going to be that good at maths, because my background, I had done math and I had passed my courses, but it wasn't my strength at the time. So yeah, I remember calling AIMS and asking them. And then the lady on the other end of the line, she just encouraged me. She said, you know what, you'll be selecting the courses that are aligned to your interests. So don't drop out, just continue with your processes, and then you can come and you do the master's program. So yeah, I ended up continuing with the visa application process and all of that. And that's how I went to AIMS in South Africa. At AIMS, well, most of the math courses, they were tough. Well, all of the courses had math in them, but it was quite difficult. It was quite a challenge. But at the end of it, that's when I realized that I wanted to do work in data science and machine learning. So it would be a combination of my skills from computer science, which would be programming and stuff. And then from AIMS, we did do programming, and then we did data science courses. So it would be a combination of that and a little maths. So yeah, so that's how I ended up being in data science and machine learning, and currently that's what I'm doing. Yeah, so that's my journey in maths and what I'm doing right now, I guess. I hope that's
Yeah, very interesting, right? So very often when when you see someone pursuing mathematical sciences or data science, you think they've always been top students from their young age till now, right? But hearing from you, you went through challenges, you had to encourage yourself, people had to encourage you to get to where you are now. So that leads me to my next question. You mentioned a few people who have encouraged you. Can you highlight a bit some of the people who have encouraged you, people who have inspired you, people who have mentored you along the journey to get you here? It's important that we highlight the role of mentors or our support system in our successes. So can you throw more light on these?
Okay. So just like from growing up to now, especially like from high school, primary school, my biggest motivator was always my mom. I mean, at some point, she she would be like, she would be surprised by the success of other people, and then in my mind, I'll always be like, I want to show her that I can always, like, I can do the same thing that other people have managed to do. So that has always been my motivation, to just kind of show her that, some of these things are not just achievable from like by people who are far from you, like people who are close to you can also achieve those things. So I remember, like, for me, when I started high school, one of my uncles had just gotten their results, their O-level results, and he had gotten 9 A's. And I remember my mom just being so shocked, and like she used to praise him a lot. And from her exclaiming, like every time she talked about it, it was like, this is such a big thing. Like it always felt like something that happens to other people, but not people close to her. That's what I understood from what she said. So ever since that time, I was motivated to get more A's than my uncle, because I wanted to show her that I could also do it, and people close to her could also achieve that kind of success, I guess. So yeah, so that has been my biggest motivation. And then my uncle also, I have an uncle who he is I think the lecturer in financial mathematics in university in South Africa. I'm embarrassed, I don't really know his exact field, but it's math related, and I think it's financial mathematics related. And he got his PhD, and he had always done well in school. And in families you have that poster child for doing well in school. So growing up, he was always that poster child for, if you want to do well in school, look at how well your uncle did or something like that. So he has always been like my motivation. I always wanted to do well, just to show that we could also do it, right? So him and my mom were the ones who motivated me to apply for scholarships. And yeah, so they've been there for me, like pushing me, encouraging me, motivating me in different ways. And then like moving on from undergrad up coming up to now, my biggest motivation most of the time would just be the people around me. I mean, the people who are doing the same things as me. I mean, I know people say that you should always aspire to become the best version of yourself, and you not to compete with others, which is true. Like for me, the motivation when I compared myself to others wasn't so that I could do better than them. It was so that I could be able to be as organized as they are and be able to achieve the kind of success that they've achieved for themselves, for myself, right? So it wasn't stemming from a point of competition. It was stemming from a point of, they are doing really well and I want that for myself. So just looking at others and realizing where I was falling short and just wanting to improve myself, that's how the people around me have motivated me. And at some point, I was just like, you know what? Most of these people have backgrounds in maths, so I can't be as good as they are. But I remember my roommate at the time. My roommate, she was from Lesotho. She had done statistics and maths, and I think she got like a first-class degree for her undergrad. She always encouraged me, and she was hardworking. And every time I was disappointed, like every time, like when you struggle and you're like, I think I'll just go to sleep and I won't do this assignment. Every time I'd be sleeping, she'd be the one who would wake me up and say, let's go to the lab. Let's do our assignment. Have you done this? So she was a great encouragement for me when I was at Ames. And yeah, I mean, every other time it's just been the people around me and my family. And you know how sometimes people think the best of you, they tell you how good you are and you don't see it in yourself. It's every time someone from my family says that, I feel like I have to live up to that, not in a bad way, but in a way that I feel encouraged to be that person that they see in me. So yeah, it's my family and my friends in general.
Wow, very interesting. So you now do data science. You came from a computer science background, you got a master's in mathematical sciences, and you now work in data science and artificial intelligence. Our aim is to highlight the diversity in options when you study mathematics related courses. Can you tell us a bit in layman terms about what you do in data science and artificial intelligence?
Okay. Should I talk about like the fields in general or the kind of work that I'm doing now?
Any of them that you can break into very basic terms, that would be brilliant.
Okay. So for me, my main focus is machine learning. And in machine learning, you're trying to get computers to learn maybe some patterns or some okay, you're trying to teach a machine how to make decisions. Generally, it's like how you're teaching a machine how to make decisions. So there are different types of learning. Sometimes you have lots of data. So for example, if you want to teach a machine or a computer how to recognize cats, you just give it a lot of pictures of cats. And then hopefully by the end of it all, if it learns well enough, it can be able to tell apart between a cat and a dog. So that's my focus. And then you can also try to teach a machine by just giving it a lot of different pictures of cats and dogs, but you don't really tell it that this is a cat or this is a dog. And you kind of help it to learn how to distinguish between the two. The one where you tell it this is a cat, that is like supervised machine learning, where you give it a lot of pictures of cats and tell it this is a cat, and then it's able to identify a cat. And then the one where you just give it different types of pictures and hopefully it learns the difference between the two, that's basically unsupervised learning. And then you can also teach a machine by, for example, you just give it some things to do, and then if it performs that task well enough, you give it like a reward. For example, if it was a baby, you'd give it like some sweets or some, I don't know, some candy of some sort. So you teach it how to maximize the number of sweets it gets from doing a task really well. So my main focus is machine learning, and I've done a lot of work with unsupervised, I've done a lot of work with supervised learning. And right now, one of the things that I'm working on is more of an unsupervised learning problem. So I don't know if that's good enough in layman terms. I'm sorry.
Definitely, very definitely. No, that's brilliant, right? So telling pictures, telling what if an image is a cat or not from pictures is something that is very relatable. So you are now working as an AI person in the field of machine learning. Okay, tell us a bit about how you got your internship, right? So you are now doing an internship in Germany, right? What skills did you learn along your journey that became useful in you securing this internship? Yes, maybe there's a young person, maybe at Ames watching you or even in undergrad watching you and would like to learn a skill, what were some of the key things that that helped you to secure this internship and also helping you on the ground whilst working on this internship?
Okay. I mean, honestly, you never really know how you got a position, right? Because they never tell you like we liked this about you more than others. But generally, so well, this is the second opportunity that I've gotten through AIMS, right? So I got the fellowship that I'm on right now. I got it through AIMS. And the first one that I got, it was last year, I got a research internship. So I'll start with the one that I got last year. It was a mathematical sciences for climate resilience program. So AIMS is a partnership with, I think it's an industry something program. So they have a partnership with that organization. So we could apply for to use our mathematical science skills in research projects in agriculture. So I applied for that program, and through AIMS, because of the things that we studied in AIMS, like we did a lot of mathematical science courses. We did some statistics, we did data science, because those skills were applied in the project that I applied for. So yeah, so I think in general, I just needed to be familiar with statistics and some math related stuff. So I think that's how I got the first one. And I think for this one, I like to think that maybe my experience with the first research internship might have contributed to getting the second fellowship, because it's also in research, and I think maybe they would have considered someone who has a little bit of research experience, and maybe they thought I'd be a good candidate. And then also, I've always been interested in computer vision ever since I was at AIMS. So, and I've done just like bits and pieces of some projects in computer vision. So I was familiar with the field. So yeah, also having that on my CV might have played a part, because part of the work that I'm doing now has a computer vision aspect to it. And also the machine learning experience that I have. So just knowing how to develop like the basic machine learning, like artificial neural networks and stuff, because for my role, my supervisor had specified something in machine learning in computer vision. So I had exposure to both those fields, and I had done a little bit of research. So I like to think that those are the skills that made my CV attractive, and I ended up in this position. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Tatenda. So we are moving a bit from your professional life to what you do for community, for society, for public engagement. Okay. Yes. So you have a YouTube channel, right? Tell us a bit about that, what it is about, and yes, and your goals or your vision for it. What it's all about. Yes.
Okay, so well, I'd always wanted to start a YouTube channel, even before AIMS. But I remember the first video that I posted was it was a tutorial, because I wanted to do a series on web development using this framework called ASP.NET. So one of the videos that I had done was an introduction to HTML or web development, I don't remember. So yeah, so I posted that video just before I went to AIMS. And then when I got to AIMS, I realized I didn't have time to continue those videos. So I stopped. And then I put that video on private so that other people couldn't continue seeing, because it was supposed to be a series, but it was just one video, so it didn't make sense. So I ended up stopping, and then I thought I'd do it after I finish AIMS. So after AIMS, I didn't think along those lines, because I felt like I didn't have like the content that I wanted or the time anyway. I didn't think I'd be able to have videos that I could post consistently. So then I kind of forgot about it. And then when I went to Mali for the research internship last year, I remember thinking that maybe there are a lot of people who might be interested in this, but they have no idea the kind of work that we do in these fields, right? So I wanted to share our work just as a way of raising, like increasing awareness about the type of work that people do in these fields. Because I mean, like one of the things that you read about when you're reading about like machine learning, especially in Africa, in different African countries, you read about how maybe there's a lot of data, but maybe there's not enough resources to be able to do what you want to do, like using machine learning, or maybe it's the infrastructure or the environment doesn't allow. It's just a lot of like negative some stuff that you read about. It's not everywhere though. Like, I mean, it's improving, but at the time, that's what I was seeing when I was looking for like opportunities in the fields and stuff. And even in my country, there weren't a lot of opportunities where you'd be doing a lot of machine learning stuff, even up to now. I mean, the field is growing, but there were not a lot of opportunities like that. So I just thought that, you know what, if someone might be interested in this, but they have no idea how to get to do the projects that they really want to do. So maybe let me just start talking to people who work in these fields and people who are doing this internship with me. And then we can share our work and get people to know that, I mean, there's actual work that is being done. If someone is interested, they can look at these organizations or talk to these people that I'm profiling or I'm interviewing with. So that was the idea. Yeah, so I managed to interview one of the people who was on the research internship with me. And then the first guest that I got was he's Zimbabwean and his work is based in South Africa. He has an AI healthcare services company. His name is Babu Signoni. So that was my first guest. And then continuing, I just kept like sending messages and emails to people. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. So it's just a matter of have I managed to get someone who has given me like a time to say, okay, I'm ready, I can do this interview with you. So right now, that's all it is. I make time for the interviews, then I post them, hoping that someone can learn something from them, and just raise awareness in general about that. So yeah, that's it about the YouTube channel. Oh, okay. I also do share some other videos. I share videos about my experiences here during my research fellowship. So, you know, sometimes it's difficult to record yourself when you're doing work. I forget. Sometimes I start recording, but then during the day I forget. And then I'm like, okay, maybe we'll do it next week. So yeah, I just wanted, because one of the things that I thought about before, I used to think that people who work in research don't have fun, or I mean, I thought their jobs were boring. I thought they'll just be like lecturers and yeah, I thought they'll just be lecturers and just teaching and writing papers and stuff. But then through this fellowship, I've gotten to realize that, you know what, research can be done also in organizations. You can be doing research at a university, but you don't have to be a lecturer at that university. And yeah, so by just showing what I do daily, also some part of it doesn't look quite boring because there's a lot of reading there, but just to show people who might have the same misconception as me that, you know what, it doesn't always mean you have to be a lecturer. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now with the YouTube channel.
Wow, very interesting, right? And see, the great thing about social media is that you're able to reach a wide audience from all across the world. So even for us, when we put your interview on our channel, we have viewers from all across the world. And for us, our great delight is that for our cities, top 10 cities where our followers are, 7 of them are in African countries, which means that your story will be watched by young girls from African countries. They will see you and they will aspire to pursue careers in data science and artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, our time is almost coming to an end. But before we go, we'd like you to give us a 1-minute message to a young girl in machine room who is watching you. What would be your inspiring message to this young girl who is probably struggling with mathematics or good in mathematics? A younger you, what would be your inspiring message to this young girl in a minute?
Well, I think that there's always room for improvement in whatever you do, as long as it's something that you think will benefit you or you're determined to achieve, right? So if you think that being good at maths, so for the struggling person, like you say, the little girl who might be struggling with maths, if you're struggling with maths, it doesn't mean that you will always struggle for the rest of your life. I mean, one of the girls I'm here with on the fellowship, she talks about how the last 2 years for her in high school were the time that changed her life, like because she wasn't doing so well previously in the first years of high school. But then eventually she managed to catch up and she did well. And she always says that, if I go to those people who I did, like some of the people she did undergrad with, or some of the people she did high school with when she was struggling, they would be surprised that she's here and she's getting scholarships and funding to do so many different things. Because at the time, if they were to ask who's going to be this person, she would have never been picked to be like someone who would be expected to get all these opportunities. So I think at every point in your life, there's always room for you to improve whatever you think you need to be good at. So don't give up. It might look hard now, but if you just allow yourself to be patient, give yourself more time to work on it, then eventually it will work out. Just don't stress yourself too much. And to be honest, I mean, it's important to get good grades. I mean, especially when you look at our country, education does give a lot of opportunities. It's important to get good grades, but don't beat yourself up if you're not the best student in class. It doesn't mean that you have to be the best student for you to get good opportunities. You just have to be good enough. So that's what I have to say. And also the other thing is, Masvingo is a very small town, right? So one thing I'd like to tell, especially young girls in general, is there's a whole world out there. I mean, if you limit yourself to being in a small town and you never get to explore or go to other places, it's quite difficult to get your mind opened up to see that there are other opportunities or there are other paths that you can take in life. So if you get an opportunity to go somewhere else or to take your studies or to apply for scholarship, even if it's something that might seem scary, always take it, because there's a lot to learn outside the bubble that you're comfortable in. Yeah.
Wow. So I took 2 things from this. There's more room for improvement. You might not be good at maths or some subject now, but when you gradually improve yourself, you'll be that person that you dream to be. And also there's a bigger world outside, right? The fact that you're in a small town really doesn't mean you cannot dream beyond the surrounding, right? You can aspire to do great things outside your community. Thanks so much, Tatenda, for honoring our invitation, and we look forward to sharing your inspiring story with the world. Bye.
Bye.